Coming up on AgWeek TV, the Senate Ag Committee holds a hearing on anti-competitive practices in the cattle market.
Once a year, this old dairy farm converts to a treasure trove, attracting junk lovers from far and wide.
Crops continue to deteriorate in the region, except for Nebraska. And the drought and heat are making weed and pest control a real challenge this season. Welcome to AgWeek TV. I'm Michelle Rook. The Senate Ag Committee held a hearing this week to look at issues in the cattle market. Several farm state lawmakers urged leadership to investigate possible market manipulation and anti-competitive practices, with packers making record profits while cattle producers lose money and consumers pay more at the store. Testimony addressed packer concentration and the lack of competition in the cattle market, recent supply chain disruptions, limited processing capacity, and changes in the amount of alternative marketing arrangements versus negotiated cash cattle trade.
I think the real key that doesn't get looked at or analyzed is that the market power that the big four packers has dictates and controls the profitability through the whole sector.
South Dakota's John Thune says this isn't a new problem, but with the lack of competition, lawmakers need to step in with a solution.
We have to figure out as part of our deliberations, and whether that's in the form of legislation or working with the Department of Justice, to address this issue of lack of competition and the fact that there is an oligopoly.
Cattle groups have unified and turned up the heat to get action, so they were pleased the Senate finally responded.
Competition isn't too much to ask for in this country. Where there is no competition, there is no capitalism.
Various bills have already been introduced to mandate more negotiated cash cattle, create a formula contract library, increase market transparency, and expand processing. Nebraska continues to be the garden spot in the Corn Belt with some of the highest rated row crops in the latest USDA crop condition report. 83% of Nebraska's corn was rated good to excellent, down just 1% from last week. Soybeans were at the same mark, down just 4%, even after a week of extreme heat and limited rainfall. Agronomists say most of the crop in north central Nebraska was planted before May 15th and got off to a great start.
We've got some of the best stands that we've had in 5+ years where weather was perfect.
Crop development is also ahead of normal with the recent heat pushing the crop. She says there's tremendous yield potential, though, if Mother Nature cooperates the rest of the season.
We could have some stuff that beats 2018 records, which 2018 for a lot of guys, there was a lot of field records that they had never seen before, 250, 260, 270 field averages, which is unreal.
However, many irrigation pivots are already running hard with the heat in June, and the dryland areas need more rain soon with the sandy soils. Meanwhile, range and pasture conditions are continuing to slide in Nebraska. USDA reported only 29% of pastures are in good to excellent condition, with 12% poor to very poor. Livestock auction barns are just starting to report a pickup in cattle numbers at their sales, and liquidation will escalate if grass conditions don't improve soon.
People are really culling deep, and they're getting rid of some of those cattle that might not have carried a calf over through the season, or some of those cows that they might use for rebreeds are starting to come to town.
Subsoil moisture, which was adequate in north central Nebraska after 2 extremely wet years, has deteriorated, which is also affecting the hay crop.
It seemed like if anything got grazed a little late in the spring before it got to use the moisture that was originally there, it's going to be a little bit short.
He says the recent heat and wind definitely trimmed hay production. This season, we're following several farmers from planting to harvest. Last month, we met Dan Spiekermeyer, who farms in southeast North Dakota with his son. They grow corn, soybeans, and sunflowers, and we're checking back in to see how his crops are progressing. He says despite some obstacles from Mother Nature this spring, he's happy with his crops.
We had heavy wind, and then just a few days later we had a frost and we had to replant about half of our soybeans. And the corn didn't know which way to grow there for a while, so it was kind of froze and hurt, but corn can come back pretty good, and most of it's looking pretty decent right now again.
Spiekermeyer says his no-till and strip-tilling practices have helped preserve moisture in his fields and help prevent soil erosion in the high winds. A planned soybean crushing plant at Spiritwood, North Dakota will be a big plus for growers and the region's economy. ADM plans to invest $350 million in the former Cargill malt plant in the Spiritwood Energy Park near Jamestown. ADM will build a new soybean crushing plant on the location, but they will be able to use some of the existing infrastructure from the former plant, including a rail line and a steam line. The plant will use about 30% of the state's soybean production and is expected to fill a big need for North Dakota.
We knew that there was a major need for a soybean crush facility in the area. In fact, there probably is room for another 3 or 4, is what the statistics show.
Plans call for the completion of the crushing plant in time to process the soybean crop harvested in the fall of 2023. The Minnesota legislature has approved the agriculture budget in a June special session. It includes over $1 million to support expansion of small and mid-scale meat and poultry processing plants. Biofuels will get a boost with $6 million to build out infrastructure at small fuel retailers. There's also $150,000 for a new farmer program and nearly $500,000 for the state's noxious weed program. CNH Industrial has an agreement to purchase Raven Industries for $2.1 billion. The deal is expected to close in the fourth quarter. Raven is based in Sioux Falls and focuses on precision agriculture and autonomous agriculture products. The two companies had previously been collaborating. A South Dakota ethanol pioneer is being remembered as a visionary and a giant in the industry. Ori Swayze of Wilmot died in February, and a memorial was held for him earlier this month. Former South Dakota Senator Tom Daschle worked with Swayze in the early 80s to help get the ethanol industry off the ground. Daschle says the region would look very different without Swayze's influence. He says it goes far beyond the economic impact of the ethanol industry in the Midwest.
He was certainly somebody who saw far into the future. He saw the value of biofuels generally, but ethanol in particular. He saw it first from a national security point of view, and then an environmental and agriculture point of view, and then a health point of view.
As a senator in 1997, Daschle worked to establish the renewable fuel standard, and conditions are right for other steps for ethanol expansion in the new administration. Coming up on AgweekTV, some advice on slowing the spread of noxious weeds, especially in hot, dry conditions.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has a storage solution for you. From top to bottom, we offer the industry's best bins and warranties to protect your products and your grain storage investment. Make the superior choice today with Superior Grain Equipment.
I'm Peter Bosch. I've been working with Gateway Building Systems for a little over 20 years now. I chose Gateway Building Systems to build my shop because I wanted a building that could both be used for my equipment and as a place for my family to hang out and do things. I would advise anybody that's thinking about working with Gateway to go in and talk to the guys there, tell them your plans and your future dreams, and let them design something for you.
This is Dennis Beliski reminding you we do auctions and we do them well. You've built your operation with hard work, and when it's time to sell, all or part, you deserve the best. Details from repairs and preparation to promotion and settlements are not routine. Chances are you'll only do this once, so we'll tailor an auction just for you and get it done right. On-site at your farm or added to one of our highly successful Alaris Center auctions, we have the skill, reputation, and integrity to meet your needs with best-in-class commitment and quality service. Find us at resourceauction.com or call 701-757-4015.
Don't miss out on the equipment you'll need next season. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer, has early order discounts on its full line of powerful, efficient, new Case IH equipment, including tractors, combines, and self-propelled sprayers. Get a great deal and ensure that you have the latest in productivity and technology. Supply chains are tight. Contact your Titan Machinery dealership today and find out how much you can save by ordering ahead. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH equipment experts.
Superior Grain Equipment offers you the industry's best dryer and grain handling equipment. So make the superior choice and get higher quality grains, test weights, and prices while using half the energy. Superior Grain Equipment.
We're going to talk today about a revolutionary auto steer product that you guys have developed.
We back one of these things in, it'll drain a 40-acre patch just within hours.
What can you tell us about what dairy farmers do to make sure that their animals are happy?
Their care is our primary concern.
Is there still time for producers to get storage bins up?
Absolutely. We still can definitely get something up and ready for corn harvest.
The hot, dry, windy weather many growers are dealing with this season may be tough on crops, but many weeds and soil diseases thrive in it. Mikkel Pates talked to a crop consultant about the problem. It's this week's AgWeek cover story.
Michelle, the combination of low residue crops, high winds, and drought can cause a heck of a lot of trouble.
The impact to this field could be several $1,000s over the next few years to control this issue of not only weeds, but pathogens.
Greg LaPlante has been a crop consultant based in southeast North Dakota for 40 years. He says early dry conditions in 2021 combined with high winds means not only erosion, but soil movement is also spreading weed seeds and soil-borne diseases to neighboring farms.
We've been picking up water hemp from neighbors' fields, and therefore then we have water hemp problems that in sugar beets are difficult to control. But the whole issue is to try and keep those numbers small and not let them get out of control to where you're dealing with millions and millions of plants per acre.
LaPlante says there are some things that farmers can do to slow the spread of weeds and disease, like planting winter rye as a cover crop.
You know, we found out the cereal rye does a great job of suppressing early growth of weeds, especially water hemp. You're trying to get weeds that are this height, but you're also trying to get as many weeds out of the ground as possible.
So if you don't get those weeds handled in a timely manner and you have a big wind, you can cause big trouble for years to come.
The clock is ticking. We have to do a better job of management.
For AgWeek, this is Mikkel Pates in the southern Red River Valley.
Spray drift issues often wind up in court, and LaPlante predicts weed and pathogen issues will too. You can read more in the next AgWeek magazine or at agweek.com. Weed control has been tough with the adverse weather, and it could continue to be a challenge if the weather pattern persists. Spraying isn't recommended when it's hot or windy. Plus, with the dry soils, many farmers have had to run irrigation systems just to activate the herbicides, and even then, the performance of pre- and post-emergence products has been disappointing.
Weed control is going to be very tough this year. We don't have humidity, we don't have good growing conditions, and so post-emergence products aren't working as good. So make sure you're applying them early before the weeds get too big.
Johnson reminds farmers the cutoff dates for dicamba are coming up in the region as well. For South Dakota, that date is June 30th. EPA's Office of the Inspector General has determined senior officials knowingly mishandled the 2018 approval of various dicamba products. Those include Fexapan, Extendamax, and Ingenia. The OIG report says internal scientific reviews of the formulations were blocked and scientific documents were manipulated. This led to decisions being made without scientific integrity by political appointees. Changes are being recommended for the future, but it isn't expected to impact the 2021 spraying season. A southeast Minnesota dairy farmer showed off his unconventional operation recently. As NOAA Fish reports, the Gillis family hosted a pasture walk to highlight their rotational grazing methods.
Hands down, there isn't a healthier place for a cow than out on grass.
Mike Gillis wasn't raised on a farm, but he and his wife Joan have built this dairy operation from scratch over the past 40 years. Their dairy farm isn't like most operations because the cows are always out in the grass.
Can't beat it for the cows. The exercise, the air. Cows evolved for 50,000 years as grazers, and we can't improve on that.
The Gillises milk about 110 cows and have 100 acres of open ground for pasture. With another 150 acres they rent for forages. Gillis says most of their cropland is organic, although they don't sell certified organic milk. Lance Klessig is a resource specialist for the Winona County Soil and Water Conservation District, and his own dairy farm neighbors the Gillises. He says there are a lot of benefits of rotational grazing, including a lower cost of production.
70% of his ration, the cows harvest themselves. They spread their own manure, and he only has to feed them about 25 or 30% of their ration.
In Houston, Minnesota, this is Noah Fish for AgWeek.
The pasture walk was sponsored by the Sustainable Farming Association and the Dairy Grazing Apprenticeship. Superior Livestock Auction kicked off the 2021 sales season with their Corn Belt Classic in South Sioux City, Nebraska. Nearly 52,000 head of yearlings and calves were sold during the nationwide video auction. This sale sets the tone for the feeder market for immediate delivery and calves coming off of grass this summer and fall. President Danny Jones says it was a strong start with prices considerably better than a year ago.
Of course, we were in COVID last year. The panic was full blown last year and a lot of problems out there, but I would say on a 6-weight calf today, we're probably looking at anywhere from $12 to $20 a hundred higher.
Jones says their video sales improve price discovery and decrease stress on livestock.
Coming up on AgweekTV, we'll take you where treasure hunters are turning old farm junk into chic farmhouse decor.
Challenges. We all face them at some time. But it seems that ag has seen its fair share over the past few years. Has your farming operation been able to stand the challenges? If not, maybe it's time to talk to the risk management specialist at Martinson Ag. We can help you make the sound decisions to help your operation weather the storm. Martinson Ag, your one-stop shop for crop insurance, livestock insurance, and marketing. We are here to take your operation to the next level.
Add more bushels to your hopper and money to your pocket by harnessing the power of air with Crary Wind Systems. Whether your beans are chest high or barely off the ground, Crary offers 2 solutions that add a constant stream of high-velocity air to quickly feed crop back to the auger, eliminating bunching, reducing shatter loss, and increasing your ground speed. Don't let crop conditions dictate your yield. Check out the Crary Air Reel or Crary Wind System today.
At Trans Systems, every day is a great day to haul beets. Our family-owned business moves more beets than anyone in the world. We enjoy good work and good pay, and many of us have been here for decades because it's a place where our opinions are heard and our accomplishments are seen. We're your home every day and can take summers off. Here, our safety and yours matter most. Trans Systems, a sweet haul in the Red River Valley since 1983.
Steffes Group, selling land and the equipment to farm it since 1960. If you're interested in selling or have questions about our auction process, head to our website at steffesgroup.com to contact us at any one of our 4 locations located throughout the Midwest. You can also visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel to view all of our auction previews and recaps to stay up to date on the market in your area.
Go beyond the headlines with an AgWeek membership. Get in-depth agribusiness reporting, original farm and ranch stories, and fact-based research for the most comprehensive ag news in the upper Midwest. Experienced ag journalists bring you exclusive ag news, insights, and policy updates you won't find anywhere else. Become a member today and get unlimited access to AgWeek and AgweekTV.
After a big drop in the crop ratings this week in the Dakotas and Minnesota, are there any chances for an improvement in the weather forecast? Here's John with our AgriWeather Outlook.
Not the best of news for the Northern Plains, Upper Midwest this week, as hot weather will be rebuilding into the high plains, the Great Plains, the Northern Plains, and parts of the western edge of the Corn Belt. That hot weather means dry because even if we do get some thunderstorms, and there will be storms, it's not likely to be enough overall rainfall to keep up with the additional evaporation brought about by the hot temperatures and, of course, the dry soils. There will be an area of rain that will be persistent. We'll show you where that is. It all has, of course, everything to do with the jet stream, and a ridge of high pressure is building in the jet out across the western part of the country. You're going to hear this week about temperatures getting up into the 90s and hundreds out of the Pacific Northwest, and even up into British Columbia. There's going to be some really very hot weather. We'll start off the week modestly cool in the Northern Plains, but the hot weather will likely connect. So in the western U.S., the only places not extraordinarily hot will be the high altitudes of the Rocky Mountains. Hot weather in Texas, hot weather across the south. Northern Corn Belt, Great Lakes, not too bad. But you can see, and by the red phase here, we're talking temperatures into the 90s to around 100 degrees, and that's going to keep spreading east as this ridge builds in. So Northern Plains, Upper Midwest, this whole region is going to have some very warm weather this week, and that's going to mean a lot of persistent evaporation, and things will likely be getting dry where we can't find any storms. Now, as we go into the 4th of July Independence Day weekend and the week that follows, more of the same. The jet jet stream ridge will start to crash, but it's still going to leave some pretty hot temperatures into the northern plains, and much of the Midwest will be in the 90s as we go into that first full week of July. So with that in mind, the rainfall is going to be confined down here to the same parts of the nation that have been getting persistently wet this week. It's going to be down along the Gulf Coast, up into the southern part of the Corn Belt. A lot of thunder showers, and we're starting to see monsoonal moisture being pulled into the southwest, so that's going to bring some storms into West Texas. But most of the Great Plains this week, most of the Rockies, most of the West Coast is simply going to be dry. Now, as we get toward the 4th and the week after the 4th, there will be an opportunity for some storms up into the northern plains. But as I said before, likely not enough persistent moisture to keep up with the general hot temperatures. The heaviest rains will be in the south. Some of these storms in the north, though, will have the potential to drop some heavy rainfall, but they're going to be hit and miss. They're going to be July storms. The dry weather, the bone dry weather, will retreat a bit as the southwest monsoon pulls moisture north. But overall, there simply is not going to be, as I see it, in most locations, enough moisture building in out of the storms to keep up with the heat, which means the continued drought conditions will likely get worse.
Don't miss out on the equipment you'll need next season. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer, has early order discounts on its full line of powerful, efficient, new Case IH equipment, including tractors, combines, and self-propelled sprayers. Get a great deal and ensure that you have the latest in productivity and technology. Supply chains are tight. Contact your Titan Machinery dealership today and find out how much you can save by ordering ahead. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH equipment experts.
The Summers Manufacturing Spring 2022 Advance Order Program is on now. Lock in pricing and secure your farm equipment needs for next spring. Confirm your order by June 30th to take advantage of these discounts. All Summers equipment qualifies, including our new Super Coulter Samurai, the innovative VRT Renegade, and the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Don't wait until fall. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more.
At Trans Systems, every day is a great day to haul beets. Our family-owned business moves more beets than anyone in the world. We enjoy good work and good pay, and many of us have been here for decades because it's a place where our opinions are heard and our accomplishments are seen. We're your home every day and can take summers off. Here, our safety and yours matter most. Trans Systems, a sweet haul in the Red River Valley since 1983.
At North Star Ag, we're more than your short-line machinery dealer. We're also full service, and we're farmers first. That means we know it's not about what's best, but what's best for your farm. Whether you're planting, growing, or harvesting, we're there for all your equipment, parts, and service needs. And we've been doing it since 2009, with the largest inventory and availability in the area. Check us out at northstar-ag.com or call us at 701-361-4790.
AgWeek brings you timely agriculture news from field to fork in digital, print, and television. Fresh every week, join me, Mike Speaker, from the AgWeek editorial team for a deeper dive into farm and ranch stories with personalities from the world of agriculture. If you are involved in farming, ranching, or agribusiness, the AgWeek podcast is the show for you.
One weekend a year, Connie Bruse converts her farmstead to a flea market. About 30 vendors come to sell everything from antique glassware to old rusted farm implements. As Rose Dunn reports, some are there for nostalgia, others for farmhouse chic decor.
My junk is the next person's treasure. Anything rusty, anything galvanized, old stuff that we find at farms.
Connie Bruse and her husband bought this former dairy farm about 30 years ago, and the buildings were full of old treasures. That started her on a career of selling antiques and farmhouse decor.
Never seen one that big. That's awesome.
Long ago, these were functional pieces of farm life, but today, they're design elements.
There's something to do with farming, yard art. That farm look is really, really in. Chicken feeders and putting plants in oil cans and things like that. A lot of people thought that was going to go out really, and it's getting stronger every year.
Dan Brosart farms the land he grew up on near Rugby, North Dakota. His kids raised chickens, so he picked up this old feeder for them.
We grew up raising ducks and chickens, and this is the kind of stuff we had, so it brings back memories for me, and it'll be great for my kids. So.
Oh, he's got a snout. To me, it looks like a little pig.
For Rhonda Peterson, this flea market brings back memories of her grandparents' farm, and today she's sharing them with her daughter and granddaughter.
Just makes you feel good. And to see things reincorporated into new objects, so old items kind of reinvented, is a lot of fun. So that's something that we could incorporate into our lives that would kind of share those memories.
Near Horace, North Dakota, this is Rose Dunn for AgWeek.
Connie has a shop on the farmstead called Inspired Designs, which is open weekends or by appointment. Still ahead on AgWeek TV, Kristen Clark shares a fresh dressing for your fresh garden greens.
Growing up as a kid, Gateway was always the grain bin building and the grain handling people that were out in our area. One of the reasons we chose to go with Gateway was they're the leader in the industry and they are the #1 Brock dealer in the United States. We've really liked the Brock design and some of the designs that Gateway has come up with throughout the years. My best advice would be to just put your trust in them and let them come up with the design that's going to fit your needs.
The Summers Manufacturing Spring 2022 Advance Order Program is on now. Lock in pricing and secure your farm equipment needs for next spring. Confirm your order by June 30th to take advantage of these discounts. All Summers equipment qualifies, including our new Super Coulter Samurai, the innovative VRT Renegade, and the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Don't wait until fall. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more.
Challenges. We all face them at some time. But it seems that ag has seen its fair share over the past few years. Has your farming operation been able to stand the challenges? If not, maybe it's time to talk to the risk management specialist at Martinson Ag. We can help you make the sound decisions to help your operation weather the storm. Martinson Ag, your one-stop shop for crop insurance, livestock insurance, and marketing. We are here to take your operation to the next level.
At North Star Ag, we're more than your short-line machinery dealer. We're also full service, and we're farmers first. That means we know it's not about what's best, but what's best for your farm. Whether you're planting, growing, or harvesting, we're there for all your equipment, parts, and service needs. And we've been doing it since 2009, with the largest inventory and availability in the area. Check us out at northstar-ag.com or call us at 701-361-4790.
For AgWeek, this is Mikkel Pates at Watertown, South Dakota.
We'll look at the positive impacts that dairy can have on the community.
A Minnesota couple has put a grain bin to a new use. Spoiler alert, it's not grain.
This elaborate system of tubing with the downhill slope is how Maplewood State Park gathers sap to make syrup.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of AgWeek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. It's getting to be time for fresh garden lettuce, and that calls for a special fresh salad dressing. Kristen Clark, the food and swine blogger, does a monthly column for AgWeek magazine. And this month, she's sharing a favorite family recipe for her favorite salad dressing. She has also posted a video on agweek.com. Thanks for watching this week's edition of AgWeek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com. Follow us as well on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have yourself a great and safe week.